Hello, and thanks for joining us again for another Fathom Live, a live stream show dedicated to giving you tips and insights from experts in and around the real estate industry. I'm your grateful host, Jeff Sturz. So glad to be with you here today. And today with us is Colley Bailey. He is going to be hailing from the Bentonville, Fayetteville area in Arkansas. But before we bring him on here, I want to tell you, if I look a little tired today, or if I am incoherent, or say nonsensical things, this happened over the weekend, and I want to introduce to you the newest love of my life. This is Macy. So Macy was born on Sunday at 11:58 a.m. and she was 7 pounds 1 ounce, and we're trying to get back to that weight. So anyway, so this is our newest Fathom baby. So if I'm, like I said, exhausted and don't make sense, this is why. So thank you very much. All right, exciting stuff here happening in the Fathom world. Glad to be with you here, and I hope exciting stuff is happening in your life, and I'm looking forward to talking to Colley here with us today. But first, if you haven't yet, give us a shout out on Facebook or YouTube. We will use those comments to enter you automatically into a drawing to win either yard signs, a photo listing package, or $200 worth of leads on Go Social Agent. This week, Krista Johnson is our winner. So Krista, thank you for participating. Also, if you ask a question or make a comment during the show, this is an interactive show. If you make a comment, ask a question, and we use it on the show, you are entered into the drawing 5 times. That way you have a greater chance of actually being drawn as the winner. But speaking of the Go Social Agent leads, Go Social Agent offers effective and affordable social media marketing solutions to help agents grow their business. They get your account set up, looking snappy, optimized for real estate. They do automated postings, agent-branded articles, buyer and seller handbooks, Facebook ad campaigns, and more, all to help you grow your online community and generate leads. You can learn more by going to gosocial.com. Subscribe to YouTube and make sure you do that. Hit that notification bell as well. That way you know we're going live. And be ready to jump in on the conversation. I'm excited because we've been having a lot of agents join us that are boots on the ground agents doing real estate in different markets, different areas of the country, and trying different things and having success with it. So last week we had Aziz Shabazz from Chicago. Great episode. Hope you can watch that. This week we have with us Colley Bailey. And Colley is in, like I said, the Fayetteville, Bentonville area. Colley, welcome.
Thanks for having me. Happy to be here.
Maybe let's just kind of start from the beginning. You did not start your career in real estate. You started your life career, income career, job career in Hollywood.
Yeah, kind of a weird place to start. Yeah, I thought the best career path would just be to go be Brad Pitt,
Why not?
So,
I mean, it seems like it's worked out for him, so just do it.
Yeah. My wife and I ended up getting married early, like 23 years old.
And we just found out before the show, we've been married for almost the exact amount of time here, 13 years, and we're both dads of exclusively girls.
Yes.
Yeah.
You have 4 and I've got 2.
So I'm just a little more tired than you are.
Get going, Macy is so beautiful. So
thank you.
Gorgeous little one there. So happy for you, man.
Thank you. But anyway, so you started out trying to make some movies.
We got married young at like 23, right out of college. And then we were in Arkansas. And then we traveled across the country to Hollywood, and my day job for a while was to be a background actor on TV shows and movie sets, so Glee and Greek and Grey's Anatomy and CSI and, all kinds of movies and stuff. So I've been on all the movie studio lots out there. Between that and auditioning as an actor, I've been on, Paramount and Universal and Sony and all the lots out there. So it was a fun time. And I was lucky enough to actually get to act in a couple of independent films. And so you can IMDb me and all that stuff. So
very cool.
Fun trivia there.
Very fun.
But yeah, how that led to real estate is when we kind of decided it was time to have kids and start a family, we moved back to Arkansas. and I did all kinds of crazy stuff just to make ends meet. Man, I mean, I managed a pizza restaurant and did construction. Um, I was a carpenter, electrician, all kinds of random stuff. And eventually, I was able to kind of partner and start a photo and video like boutique production company, essentially, kind of a small production thing. And that led me to working with real estate agents and doing listing photos and video packages and that kind of stuff. And some of those agents liked what I did, and they talked me into getting my license and joining this crazy world. So
Wow.
that's how I got here.
Wow. So maybe taking, well, I mean, jack of all trades kind of stuff, but you at least had some basis of film, camera. This is how something looks good. This is how you present something, so you have a nice final product, which
Right.
is very important in real estate. And some agents use stagers and professional photographers. Others, probably like yourself, or I don't know if you use a photographer or not, but you have those kind of skill sets where you can.
I do now. Yeah, I always hire somebody now just for the sake of time.
Right.
Uh, and I think everybody should. But yeah, when I was first getting going, I did take my own photos and everything, but I had the professional gear and I had the time to do the shoots and make them look really good. So, you know,
Right. So then, when you started in real estate, though, you started with a builder, correct?
well, I I ended up with a builder within about 2 years. Yeah. So I was kind of part-time and I was doing the photo video stuff at the
Right.
same time and worked at a camera store. So for the first 11 months, I wasn't full-time real estate, but yeah, within a year I had gone full-time real estate and I guess it was in the second year I did get hired on at a builder. So I got to see the whole new construction process. I was able to I was placed in three neighborhoods. So I sold through 3+ neighborhoods because I did end up selling houses in other neighborhoods too. But yeah, so a lot of clients through that experience.
So they're bringing. I mean, you have to find your own leads in that industry, correct? When you're working with a builder, or is it kind of half and half, or how does that
Yes
work?
and no. They expected us to bring in about half of our own leads.
Okay.
But truthfully, just having those listings brings in a ton of leads itself.
How so?
So, yeah. What was that?
How so? How does that work?
Well, I mean, it's similar. It's similar to in the general market when you have the listings, people come to you.
Right.
When you have a listing, people will call off the sign and you know, they'll call from your online postings and all of that. And so having access to homes that are being built is a big driver for people coming to you. And so then what I did there was I also capitalized on that fact and didn't just stop by putting things in the MLS, but I learned how to create Facebook ads and lead generate that way.
Gotcha. So did a lot of transactions with the builder, I understand, and so that kind of cut your teeth into working with buyers, and understanding, the contract and that whole process, but then the leads part, from what I understand, has been something that you've been able to continue to use, in
Oh
your
yeah.
in your business now. And what else did you learn? I mean, from working with a builder, outside of just those two things.
Well, the biggest thing is that sales is a process. I really learned how to sell. And selling real estate is so different than selling anything else. I'd had sales jobs in the past, but selling homes is totally different. But it's a process that you work through with the client, and understanding, well, hey, what's your story? What's changed for you guys that made you think about buying a house? I mean, that's a big deal, you
Right.
know, and relating to them on that level, and then kind of digging into, well, I mean, what's not working with where you're at. I mean, what's your biggest headache with your current living situation? And then where are we, what's the dream? What would be the ideal thing for you guys? And then, so once you kind of understand all of that, then you can start to make recommendations.
Right.
Have you been pre-approved? Do you want this type of floor plan or that type of floor plan? And you start to move them through a process that's beneficial to them.
Right.
The other thing that I realized about it is that selling homes, when people get into real estate, they get excited about properties. They get excited about homes. People ask you, when you're in real estate, oh, you must watch HGTV all the time, or you must really love showing properties. And what you find out is that it's not about houses.
Yeah.
It's actually not about houses at all. It's about people. And the house is just a thing that those people are looking for to get the kind of lifestyle that they would prefer to have, And so the house just helps them live the life that they want. But really, in terms of what we do, it's always, always, always about the person and not the house.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah.
So, what kind of advertising then along the way have you produced, and what have you found to be most effective?
Well, okay, so if you're looking to do lead generation, which is the thing everybody wants, right? Everybody wants more leads. Well, the easiest way to do that is to put properties in front of the public and ask them to fill out a contact form to get information about it. So whether that's a listing that you have, a listing that somebody else at your brokerage has, a list of homes. And one of the things that I love about being at Fathom is our online platforms allow this so easily. I mean, you can go in and create a custom search, say 4-bedroom homes in this county above $250,000, right? And then you get a link for that. And then you just create a Facebook ad that points to that link, and in between they give their name, phone number, and email address. So
you use like the KV Core squeeze pages then?
Yep. Well, you can. So there are a couple ways to do it. I mean, you can use the KV Core squeeze pages, which work great. You can also do it as a leads ad just within Facebook.
Right.
And both of those work fine. I have found that Facebook, I think, tends to favor it all being done in platform. So they give you a little, it's like the money goes further if you do it as a lead ad.
Gotcha.
But don't think it doesn't work as a KV Core page either, because it does.
Gotcha.
Yep. But either way, it points to a KV Core page. So like if you did it as a lead ad, you would set your KV Core page up to where either they could see a lot of properties before they had to sign in, or none, or like it doesn't ask for their info. Like it's unlimited. You can set it to do that.
Right. And when you're doing that, so you're saying like, hey, I know this type of property type might be very attractive to the clientele I'm going after. So you can say, hey, are you looking for a 4+ bedroom, in this area, right, on your Facebook ad? And when they click it, it opens up to that custom search for them.
Yep.
Cool. Now you've also done, and that's just kind of static, right? You put like a picture up with some text.
Yep.
When you do those kind of things. What about video? And I know obviously you have experience in video. I mean, we can even tell from the production today. I mean, you've set up a studio, and I know earlier you showed me you've got your 3-point lighting and your nice background and a DSLR camera and all that jazz. So what by way of video have you done to generate leads, and how's that going?
Well, I mean, the cool thing about video is that it's the closest that we can get to actually being in person with somebody. And we all kind of learned this through the Zoom calls and everything over the last year. So everybody's getting really familiar with that. But yeah, I mean, if you think of all the different types of communication that we've had, as people, as humans throughout history, it used to be that you had to physically be in a space with somebody, and then somebody figured out how to do writing. Okay, so now we have writing. And then a few hundred, like maybe, I don't know, 100 years ago, people figured out how to recreate a voice. So then there was like radio and telephones. But we're kind of just entering the age where you can have voice and visuals, and people can read your facial expressions. And if you talk with your hands like I do, people can see that. And that's mass. It's just now reaching the point where it has mass adoption. You don't have to just create a TV ad and pay a ton of money for that. You can shoot something on your phone, and now everybody can see it that you push it out to. So video is really good as a sales tool, but it's also really good just as a form of communication. So, and when I say that, I mean, you can do it to follow up with people. I mean, if you've got a client and you drop off a CMA at their doorstep, you can shoot a video, say, hey, I put this on your doorstep, and
Right.
then you send them if they're not home, then you send them a text about it, or a
Bomb or
bomb
something
email
like that.
about
Yeah.
it, or something like that. Those things are really powerful. Or just, if you've had somebody on your list for a long time and they haven't done anything, shoot an email and hang on a second. Get one of these and write, hey, Joffrey, right? And that bomb video starts out like this.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually,
and they watch it. They will watch that.
Our next,
especially
our next episode we're doing with Will Draper in the Triangle area, North Carolina, and he did that. So I reached out to him, and he sent me an email back, and there's my name on his little board. And I mean, it's probably dumb, but I've never seen it before, and it's like, wait, that's me. That's me. I'm gonna click on that because it's me.
Yep.
I've got to click on it, right? And then he's like, "Hey, Jeff, would love to do the show." So that it's effective.
It's really effective, and it's personalized. People really like that kind of stuff. So, but that's the follow-up side. The other thing is that if you have a really great sales message, like if you have a really great promotion or something, or if you just have something you want to tell a lot of people about, you could call maybe 100 people a day, or you could record that message and 10,000 people a day could see you saying it. Now, they can't respond if it's, let's say it's a Facebook ad or something, but it's also no pressure for them.
Right.
So it builds a little bit of a relationship. It's kind of like, if you watch Captain America, you think you know Chris Evans.
Right.
like you feel like you know his character or something. In reality, you don't know Chris Evans, and he definitely doesn't know you. But there's a familiarity there. Right? And
Right.
the same thing happens if people see videos from you over and over and over and over again. You will start to become synonymous with real estate in their mind.
Right.
So that's the power of video. I think you can run lead generation ads with it, but I think video is really important for brand building, and for authority building, so that when you do have a sales conversation with somebody, it just flows. I mean, it's incredible. So if somebody has seen a lot of my content, and then it's time for them to sell, those conversations just go so fast, and they just trust you, and they're like, well, what do we do? And where do we sign? And you don't have to have all the objection handlers, and you don't have to have all the, the hard sales skills. Not to say that you don't need sales skills, because if you have good lead gen and no sales skills, you still won't close anything.
So one of the things that you said that you've been working on is an advertising snowball with Facebook. What is that, and what are you doing to make it happen?
Okay, so I tell you what, I wrote down something, and this would be really good tactical advice for people to understand. I'm going to call this 4 terms to learn.
Okay.
4 terms to learn. If you've never done Facebook ads before, The first one is Facebook Ads Manager. Just write that down. Facebook Ads Manager. Google that. Facebook will teach you how to get one of those accounts.
Right. And that's more than just like, hey, you could boost this post that you see on
Yes.
your business page. This is when you get into like the back end where
Yes.
there's columns and rows and all of that. That's
Yes.
Facebook Ads Manager.
You have to have a business account. You have to have a business page set up, and then you create your Facebook Ads Manager account, and it's
Right.
going to give you a ton of tools and a ton of options. Obviously, we can't go into everything that's
Right.
in here, and I'm not like a paid coach for that or anything,
Right.
although there are some great ones out there. The second term is campaign objectives.
Okay.
Okay. Look up articles on all the different campaign objectives that they have. And basically what this is what you're trying to accomplish with your Facebook ad. It could be a lead generation ad. It could be traffic to a landing page. It could be reach. So you want it to be in front
Just
of as many
exposure.
people as
Yeah.
possible. There's a whole bunch of those, but campaign objectives. Then you want to write down custom audiences. That will allow you to retarget to people who have already seen your content. And this is the other reason that video is so great, because of all of the campaign objectives, using video within a campaign objective is the most versatile audience building tool. Okay?
Gotcha.
Because it doesn't take them off of Facebook, so Facebook
Right.
can actually track who it is.
Right, which is becoming more of an issue with like
Yep.
iOS updates where they're not
Yep.
allowing tracking. So good point. If you keep them on there, you get to hold on to the data that you've collected.
Right. So so that's custom audiences. Number 4 is maybe kind of a bonus, and then I'm going to come back and talk about how to use those top 3. But
Okay.
the number 4 one is called page transparency. And that will lead you, and so write that down, page transparency, and then ads library. Those two kind of go together. That's kind of
Okay.
just one thing. But what that will allow you to do is look at what your competitors or top agents across the country, you can see what ads they're running right now.
No kidding.
Yeah. Yep. So go to their page. You'll scroll down to page transparency. Click that. It'll have a thing that says ads library. Click that, and you can see the ads that they're running right now.
That's awesome.
Yep.
I did not know that.
So you can see what your competition is doing. You can see what the top 50 competitors in your market are doing. Not that you should just go copy them, but hey, if they're running a certain type of, promotion or a certain type
Right.
of ad, maybe you should have your own version of that.
Get some ideas from there. Yeah, don't reinvent the wheel. Very good.
Okay, so the snowball thing is going to incorporate all this, and essentially what it is an exponentially growing retargeted audience.
Okay. That makes
Okay.
sense.
Here's how you do it. You will heavily promote one piece of content out to a ton of people in your local area. The easiest way to do this is something like a property walkthrough. Okay, if you have a listing coming up, get video of it. Have a professional video done of the property. I think you should be in the video, maybe at like 10 seconds into the video or 20 seconds into the video, you should show up. Hey, this is Colley Bailey with Fathom Realty.
Right.
Let's take a look at this property. But the first 10 seconds or so should be, like the drone shot coming up to the house and the, like cinematic look of the house, right?
Right.
Okay. So now you take this video and you pump it out to the public with a reach campaign,
Okay.
and
Which is
Then
designed
what's
to get
gonna
as much
happen-
exposure as possible. That's
as much exposure as possible.
Okay.
So let's say it gets to 50,000 people. Okay, you could probably spend, I don't know, $100 to $150. Depends on what Facebook ads rates are at the time and where you
Right.
are in the country, and it's a lot. But in my area, for about $100 to $150, which I know is a lot. Okay, I can get to about 50,000 people. Okay. And what I do is I incorporate this into my marketing package for my listings. So just like I pay for a photographer, I'm going to pay for these ads. And that listing selling is going to pay me back for that.
Right.
But what happens is, let's say, 2,000 people watch the first 15 seconds of it.
Right.
Okay. Well, on Facebook, 15 seconds is like an eternity.
Right. Yeah, if you can get people to watch 3 seconds, you're doing pretty good.
Yeah. And that's why I'm saying it might be 50,000 people see it and they go like this.
Right. Right.
They scroll, right? But, maybe 1,000 people, maybe 2,000 people go, "Ooh, that looks nice.
Right.
We've been thinking about moving. Oh, let me keep watching this." And what you're doing is you're notifying people who are interested, or you are being notified of.
Right. You're tallying those people up, or you're
Yep.
storing that data. Facebook is storing that data for you.
Yep.
This audience watched 15 seconds or more of your video.
Yep. So let's say you had one listing, and now you can create a custom audience of the people who watched a through play, which is 15 seconds in Facebook. And so now you have an audience of 2,000 people that you can send content back to. And every time you have a listing, you can grow that audience over time.
Gotcha. So that's kind of the snowball, is you sort of boil it down in a sense. You really sift out, all right, these are the people that would be most likely to look at future content, and we're going to target them and hope to continue to grow that audience and refine it in a sense until you get, all right, these people have seen my ads multiple times, and now I'm starting to get lead gen from that.
Exactly.
Great.
Yeah,
what would that
get people? You'll just get people who randomly call you too. Like, they won't even fill out a lead gen form, but they'll be like, "Hey, I've been seeing your stuff.
Right.
We went to high school together 20 years ago, or
right,
and now it's time for us to do something."
Right.
That literally happened to me this year. Somebody I went to high school with, and I hadn't seen them since high school, and we hadn't talked since high school. And they're like, "Yeah, we've seen a lot of your Facebook ads, and it's time for us to sell and move up to a bigger house.
We need a realtor."
And,
yeah. Very good.
And I wouldn't have gotten that had I not been putting that content out.
So I know you mentioned this before, but well, first of all, what does that second ad look like? If you did the big, the kind of like general walkthrough,
Right.
Try to attract homeowner or home buyer, home sellers, what does that second ad or third ad look like?
Well, so there's the ads that follow that need to be ads that, well, okay, the first ad establishes them as somebody who's interested in homes.
Right.
The second ad needs to establish you as somebody who can help them get that. Right. And more than a second ad, it's probably several, subsequent ads.
Right.
And it needs to be something that you can do on a consistent basis. One of the ones that I like to do is a monthly market update. So every month, I dig into my MLS, and I find all the market stats, and I present it to people.
Right.
And it takes 5 minutes.
Yeah, I've watched a couple of the ones that you've done, and they look really, really sharp. If you're kind of curious, if you're watching and you're curious, head over to Colley's Facebook page, and you'll see some great examples of video, very helpful video stuff that he's been doing for his online sphere there.
But there's really maybe like 3 really good ones that are entertainment, hopefully, but education more than anything.
Yeah.
And it's like market updates, top tips. So like, here are the top 3 tips to do blah, blah, blah. Right. And then also case studies. Those are really good too. So if like you had a good listing that they did you did the professional photography, and you did the staging, and you did the this and then that, and you go through the property prep that they did, and then you give the results of opening weekend, we had this many showings, and this was our result, and we sold above this much above the comps or whatever. People respond to those things, and then those pieces of content you can reuse later. So like,
right.
I did one, I don't know, 4 years ago or something that was about credit, how to get your credit, in good
Improved,
shape.
yeah.
And I still send people to that YouTube video.
Yeah, very good.
Yep.
I know you kind of mentioned a dollar amount, but somebody named Manifesting Mama. I don't know what the story is there, but she asks, "What's your budget for Facebook ads per month?" And I think this is a great question, because if you kind of take Facebook's suggestion and without going to the ads manager, which you really should be using, you should learn that. It doesn't take that long to set up. I've set up a couple of them, and it's it takes a little bit of reading, and then you set it up. But if you just take their suggestion, hey, you can boost, you can reach 1,000 people for $20. You might think, oh, I've got $20 to spend. I'll just do that, and let's see what happens. Probably not going to happen. Probably not a lot's going to happen with $20 or $100. So what would you say? Hey, if you were going to try to do something the way you're doing it, what would be somebody's expected expenses?
First of all, the cool thing about it is that how much you spend can grow with the audience that you build, right? So you can start out small, and it doesn't take that much. And then as you close deals, and another reason that I like being at Fathom is because instead of a big commission split going to, a broker, I can hang on to a lot of that, and I can just turn that into
More
my
ad
spend.
Yeah.
And that allows you to snowball and then get on an exponential growth curve. In terms of actual dollar amounts, if you're running something like a lead gen ad, like what we talked about, I'd recommend $10 a day to start out with. And you don't have to run it all month, so you don't have to spend $300. But if that's all you did, you would get, you'd get a couple leads a day, probably. You'll know that you have a good lead gen ad if you can get name, phone number, and email address for $3 to $5 a lead.
Yeah, that would be really good. Now,
Yep.
Those kind of ads, though, or those kind of leads, I should say, what's your conversion rate on something like that? I mean, obviously, $3 to $5 would mean you're a very wealthy
It's fairly
person.
low.
Yeah.
So it's maybe like, let me just say this. It depends on your sales skills, right?
Sure.
And it depends on whether they pick up the phone and whether they'll answer and whether they gave correct, real info in there. But you shouldn't be disappointed if you get something like 2% conversion, honestly. Right. Because let's say you spent $300 and you got 2 deals out of that.
Right. That's pretty cheap.
How much commission are you making off of that?
Right.
And those are numbers that I've hit.
Right.
I've done more than that, but if I only got 2 out of 100 leads to close, that's awesome, actually.
Right.
Because you turn $300 into what, $10,000-$12,000?
Right.
That's pretty incredible.
It is incredible.
So, right, and so a lot of people are afraid to spend money on leads and on ads, but I can tell you, if you do it and you do it well, and you can waste a lot of money too, but if you have good ads that really help you convert, then yeah, it's more helpful. And what happens when you start doing video, you'll start spending more money to do video. Like for instance, when I promote a listing, I'll budget something like $150 to $200 across a video promotion ad of it and a lead gen ad. And really, I only run it over one weekend usually, especially since listings are going so fast now. But I mean, right, I might even do a big budget per day, maybe like a $35 a day budget. And then that gets in front of that'll get a video in my area in front of like 50,000 people.
Yeah.
And that's 10% of our population.
Right.
you know. So last year we had 12,000 transactions in this area. So I mean, for 100 or 150 bucks, I can get my face in front of 4 or 5 times the number of transactions that closed in my area. That's a really good deal.
Right. Um, by the way, Manifesting Mama says, I'm manifesting a successful real estate career, and good for you for that.
Awesome. Yeah.
Andre says, are there certain days that ads should be run? I've heard both answers on this, but I'd be curious if you have a strategy.
You'll see spikes over the weekends, you know. So if you just want to do, um, but it depends on the campaign,
Right.
because sometimes it's per view, you know, or per impression. And if nobody's on Facebook at that time, it's actually not costing you money to be running at that time. So to me, if I'm promoting a property, I'll usually do it across the opening weekend. But if I'm promoting like educational content, I just will set maybe a $10 to $20 a day budget, and I'll just let it run for 5 days or a week or something.
Okay, gotcha.
Or until it taps out the audience that I know I have.
Right. And Facebook
Right?
will show you, like, you've hit these people 1.5 times or 2 times
Yep.
a person on average.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, and I don't want them to see the same ad 5 times. You know, if they see it 2 or 3 times, if you're doing it on a reach campaign, they'll only see it like 1.2 or 1.5 times. If you do it on a video views campaign, they'll show them, 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Well, I want to kind of sort of wrap up with this question. If you could go back, a few years when you were starting out in real estate, what would you tell your earlier self to do? Any things that you would say, yeah, if I could hit the reset button today and jump in head first, these are the things I would do over?
There's a lot of stuff I would say. if there was one thing that I would say, it's efficiency.
Okay.
So really evaluate if what you're doing is getting you the result that you want versus the output that it takes to get that result, right? So, for instance, if you increase your sales skills, you will increase your conversion per the number of conversations that you have.
Right.
So that's great. If you increase your marketing skills, you will increase the number of conversations you get to have. Right? So as you get better at both of those things, the business will come easier and easier. And both of them are really important. Like, we're doing this about Facebook and video and stuff, but there are a lot of people who've had really successful careers doing nothing other than calling random people in their market.
Right.
So, you can be phenomenal at sales and just do a ton of it. You can be phenomenal at marketing and bring people and build a funnel that just kind of brings people to you. But in either one of those cases, you got to think about what the most efficient thing is and try to move toward higher and higher levels of efficiency. Because you can waste a lot of time and you can waste a lot of money, and then you're out.
Right. Anything else you want to share before we wrap things up? Appreciate your honesty and your advice, both on the positive and the negative on this. Anything else?
Yeah, I mean, the other thing about video, people always want to ask, like, oh, how many deals did you get because of video? And it's sort of hard to actually say. I think we had this conversation before we filmed. It's like I can tell you how many leads a lead gen ad brings in, but when you start talking about like the educational videos and the monthly market updates and that kind of stuff, it's more about building that relationship. It's a form of communication with people before it's actually a one-on-one conversation. And so it's a comfort level. It builds authority, and it connects you to that subject matter. So that's the importance of that, and that's the importance of building that kind of that snowball strategy.
Very good. Well, we appreciate your time, and I know you're right now, as I understand it, on track for a record year. So we're
Yeah,
very excited for you, and hopefully the snowball gets you there, and maybe beyond what you're aiming for this year. So thank
thank
you
you.
for your time and some great ideas. So the four things: Facebook ad manager, campaign objectives,
Custom
custom
audiences
audiences, and then
and page transparency.
yeah, page transparency. So take that today if you're watching, and use that. Just block out some time, get to know the ads platform, and use it in your local market.
Yeah. If you're looking to build a social media strategy, a paid social media strategy, those four things will end up being your pillars, I think.
So, all right, very good. We'll catch you later. Maybe be able to. Whoops. There we go. Maybe be able to kind of hear what's going on after this year, and we can do
I'd love
kind of
to.
a retrospective kind of look back and see what worked, and hear more about it in the future. So so thank you, and thank you for Colley. You've been an agent at Fathom for a long time, several years
Yep.
here. So
Yep.
so thank you for that. If you're not a Fathom agent and you still happen to be watching, check us out over at fathomcareers.com. Fathom offers the tools and technology for your success, along with an incredible 100% commission plan. And then every agent becomes an owner as you earn stock when you do transactions, when you refer other agents. And so check us out, fathomcareers.com. And if you have any questions, be sure to reach out. We'd love to share with you why Fathom might be the great home for you as an agent. So we'll see you next time. We have Will Draper coming on next on our next show, and can't wait for